Welcome back to the channel. All right, I want to cover my Masterful Mutants run because I believe I can save you or help save you a lot of items on this. I learned a ton through my run. The fights kept getting better and better. I actually went through and I was very happy with it. Very few items spent, but I know they could get better because I learned things in the fight. The whole run was only Sinister and Onslaught, supported by Apocalypse and two White Magneto pre-fights, which were very, very helpful. Also, last, I'm going to talk about how to play them in this. I learned them like generic fight advice, but then also specific fight advice. We're going to show every single fight, but only portions of it. There's no reason to show the whole thing. As far as Sinister is concerned, the big fight advice for using Sinister on this challenge is take advantage of when you have mini bleeds. I'll show that over and over again. What I mean by that is when you have like your 8 to 11 or 12 built up, then transfer them over. One of the mistakes I made, especially early on, was trying to transfer over even just small amounts. It didn't work out well, and I'll explain why as we continue going. The other one is be aggressive, meaning after the special is thrown, I started running in. I started charging in, even though this is the trap node with a potential evade. Again, I'll show you that why. Also, be aggressive and do not forget your striker. I should have comboed a little bit more so I can get my striker up, use my striker, elongate my on charges, that sort of thing. And then the last part is, and this is because of so much PvP play on my part, but after you parry, try to go immediately into your heavy if that's the smart thing to do. Pablo pointed that out, was incredibly helpful. So let's start this fight here against Sauron. I had originally started off with APOC. I had hoped to use APOC, have a lot of fun with that. But it was just getting a little difficult to build up his evade charges, get his evade counter going, especially when I have like Sinister and Onslaught sitting right there. It was still ultimately worth it because I revived APOC with a small revive, used the Horseman ability, and then turned Sinister into a Horseman. With all of that fight advice I just gave, like generic fight advice for Sinister, I think this fight is probably even soloable. Definitely only one revive. It only ended up costing me 2. I was very happy with those numbers. And like I said, I feel strongly that could be improved upon. And the last thing I'll mention, so I don't forget it elsewhere, because I definitely forgot it while streaming, is I brought 2 White Magneto fights, right? Pre-fight, or champions for their pre-fights. Use them. Make sure you use them. I forgot a couple of times and I had extra White Magneto pre-fights. Why? I don't know. They were there and I brought them. I should have used them. Neither Onslaught nor Sinister is a hero and they're not metal. So you're not going to get the passive send benefit, but they do get the attack bonus benefit, which is important. Now, this is the first fight with Onslaught, so I do want to give the generic Onslaught advice, and then we'll go directly into the fight specifically for Hitmonkey. And what I want to say here is use your heavy pause as much as you can. I know a lot of you are like, yeah, why wouldn't we? No, seriously, as much as you possibly can. When you get the degens up, keep it paused. You're going to do massive damage. And then on the other side was the parry. You can parry light into heavy. Sometimes I even parry medium light into heavy. Utilize that. It's also going to help you get the pause timer up from the heavy because your opponent will not be stunned. Use that. Trust in Onslaught. You'll see here as we go. Now, this fight against Hitmonkey, this only cost me 1 revive. The first go, I was way too reactive. In other words, I was trying to see what Hitmonkey was going to do. Was he going to evade? Was he going to shrug the debuff? And things like that. And it caused me to play more passively, to do less damage, to take less advantage of when my degens were up, and to get less heavy pauses in. Like I'm saying, I think is the most important part. It came up big. And even, yes, against Psycho Man, which was only 1 revive. So as you can see, it's happening here. Get Monkey into the corner. Do everything you can. If he evades and hits you, that's fine. You're going to see it happen here if it hasn't already. Not that much damage is done. Get him in the corner. You saw that was a big use of heavy. Hitmonkey did not have a special, so I didn't care. I know that the heavy reach on Onslaught is so massive that we would be just fine. Hitmonkey would eventually run in. I get heavy and keep the pause going, keep the degens going, and then keep that pause going into the special one to get even more damage. Like that, you see how much damage has been done in a very short clip, and that's why I know the Onslaught can solo this fight, because like I was on pace. I just eventually at some point messed up. And then here's the last part is if you're using Sinister, which I do think makes a lot of sense, rank both those champions up. They're 2 of the best mutants in the game. It just kind of worked out for me. Die with the Onslaught. I think that's worth it. And then you get, if your Sinister is awakened anyway, And then you're going to get the skill pre-fight, and you can see the genetic code to come in for the next fight and every single fight you use Sinister with afterwards. Okay, we've already talked about being aggressive Mr. Sinister, going directly into the heavy. And then again, using your combos sometimes to help you get over the bar of power, but also it's going to help you get your striker going, which is a really important thing. I think my Sinister play would have been so much better if I had comboed more frequently, because then I could have used my striker as well. Plus, it would have helped me utilize when I had a lot of my debuffs. Like you can see, I have 11 bleeds right now, but I'm not at a bar of power. So if I comboed a little bit, right, and fortunately I took advantage of it there, but if I had done it earlier, I could have maybe transferred over more and then gone into my heavy. The other thing I really want to mention with this fight is, remember, Sinister can block unblockable attacks. So you don't need to be scared about pushing America Chavez to her SB2 like we typically are when we fight her. And then last is just play Sinister. You know, we were talking, a lot of smart people were in the chat. We were going over different strategies. And then at some point, because it was going so poorly, I was like, I'm just going to play Sinister. In fact, a couple people in the chat were like, just play Sinister. Don't worry about it. And I got America Chavez down to almost 50% in a very short amount of time by literally just playing Sinister. With these extra tips, I really think this fight could be soloed. You're this far in, though. If you don't get a solo and you feel like you got the flow of the fight, I really wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. And then again, just showing that he can block. Here it comes, right? The unblockable. He can block the unblockables. You'll be A-okay. Remember, he heals back a lot of the crit damage if they crit too. So I think he's great for that fight. Now, moving on to Onslaught versus Airwalker. This was a single revive for me. Again, though, this can be soloed for sure. Onslaught was great. You want to get the spacing right with the heavy, and I'll show you that right here. So let's go ahead and just jump into this. Remember all the things we talked about, using your heavy pause as much as you can. Like if they don't have a bar of power and you can hit the heavy in the corner, go for it. Keep that pause going. You can see me doing it time and time again. And then the SP1, it took me a while to get the appropriate punish, but there it is. Because we're into the second phase and we're getting rooted off the SP1, that's helpful. Don't worry. I'm going to show you a clip so you can see what it looks like when you are not rooted as well too. But you can see once Airwalker goes into the second phase, it becomes significantly easier to get that heavy punish right off of the special one, because you're rooted. You're just sitting right there and Airwalker's just thrown a special. So you don't have to worry about him going into another special and you taking it right in the face. And even the SB2. The only problem with that is that, he's starting to do a little bit more damage, so it can hurt. But there it is right there. It's just a really shallow dex. Excuse me. You go straight into your heavy. If you find yourself too far away, don't worry about it. It's okay. You don't have to have it every single time. It's just really, really helpful. If somehow you get hit by the first arm movement of Airwalker and it pushes you back too far, that's A-okay. But you can see you're going to get a lot of opportunities there to get in there. Use your heavy to punish that SP1, go into your SP2, keep those degens going, keep them paused, get all that awesome damage. This fight really can't be a solo. It cost me a single revive while I This fight against Betsy Braddock, to me, was actually probably the most simple fight as far as not anything new, crazy, unique is asked out of you. And this one is where I want to again point out being aggressive with Sinister. After Sinister throws his SB1, when he's on defense, it's like he pauses a little bit. It feels to me like the AI just does it a lot, right? She jumped in there, which was great. But what I'm saying is often they just stand up and they just sit there. I started just dashing in. I was like, I'm going to bring the fight to them. Often they either evaded, and remember 50% chance to evade, but then you get the chance to parry them after that. Or they just sit there, they take the hit in the block, and then you wake them up, and then you're going to get another chance to parry. That something as simple as that allowed me to get my fights going significantly better. This ended up being a solo, because remember, Mr. Sinister is reverse controls immune, so the biggest challenge of that fight is actually now gone. Be aggressive, use your parry, run into them, hit them in the block. It'll wake them up, and it'll give you a chance to get those elongated parry stun time and large sources of degen damage. It helps you out tremendously. Let's see. The next one here is this fight against Onslaught. Now, this actually was a solo. And here's the big thing, is you're going to be baiting these SP1s, but you're going to be knocking Wiccan down enough that he just starts wanting to throw them. Leave yourself open a little bit. You'll see leave myself open a little bit. And here's the big thing. I knew that you could punish Wiccan's SP1, but I couldn't figure out the spacing with the heavy. I had watched other streams. I watched MSD stream, like all those things, and I couldn't get it. And then I realized it's when Wiccan turns around. I'm going to show this to you a few times and watch how much damage we do in such a short period of time. Wiccan was at like 44% when this clip started. He's going to throw his special one. There's the big beam. And then when he turns around, there it is. When he does the second big spin in the air, run in like with a medium dash. Obviously, he can't evade that. And then you're going to block again. Here we go. And then that leaves you close enough where you can heavy him in the corner. You're going to get the big damage. There is a little bit of a bug that happens sometimes with Onslaught throwing a special after an SP1. It was well worth it to keep going for it. You can see, like, again, when this clip started, we were taking off over 20% health in just this very short period of time. Once I got this SP1 punished, and you can see, just punch in the corner, get Wiccan in the corner, punish him. You're going to keep the pause up. You're going to keep your degen going up. You're going to throw your SP1. You're going to get even more because you're daunted and all that. Onslaught was phenomenal with that. For me, that fight was actually turned out to be easier than the Betsy fight. It just required learning that trick. That's how you can punish Wiccan's SP1 with your heavy, and your damage just melts Wiccan. It's great. Last but not least was the Psycho Man fight, and this was one of the big ones that I was like by far the most worried about. I've seen so much struggle with this fight because it is difficult, right? You have all of these prompts that you're supposed to finish, right? Here against Psycho Man. Learning his SP2 evade would be significantly helpful. I did not ever fully get it down. I did get his SP1 evade down. You really want to make sure you have that because it's often unblockable. And then you can see the prompts. But the cool thing about the prompts is you're often doing those anyway. For me, the biggest thing was learning to punish his heavy with mine, like you just saw. And then like every other fight I've said with Onslaught, be aggressive. Take every opportunity you can. There was the parry into medium into heavy, right? And so we got the nice pause. You can see he has no bars of power. So I, again, used the pause. This ended up being only one revive. I did die at some point, had to go back in with Onslaught. He died, and then I just team finished it off because there was so small amount of health. Like I think I finished off with like my 6-star rank 3 white Magneto. I really do hope this was helpful. I want to start doing more guides on content, these things. I'm taking content itself more seriously, streaming it more, getting these out. I know it's really helpful. It's one of the most fun parts of the game is the actual content, not just the PvP mode. And I think I do bring a pretty unique perspective in getting you out advice and like trying to figure this out and then realize like, hey, here's that really cool trick. And once you can learn this trick, it's going to help you out a lot. Like I did with the Shothra versus Tigra AOA fight. These were things that like, I don't know, some of you may have already known, but I also know a lot of players didn't. I didn't know all of them. And they helped me become better at playing Mr. Sinister and better at playing Onslaught and therefore better at doing this run and saving a lot of items. Let me know if this was helpful, if it was not, any ways I can like fix this up, make them a little bit better. Because like I said, I do intend to continue to make guides as we continue to go on in MCoC. Thank you so much for watching. I hope your run goes phenomenally. Take care.